Oh, we just finished our second round of green flag pit stops in time for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Jeff Gordon's team's currently in the lead, but you help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 2258 for the pit crew you think's the fastest and the most valuable.
Well, it's hard to pick the fastest pit crew this last time. We'll go ahead and give it to Hendrick. They got 13.3 in the top 3 spots. You see Martin Truex's team there just a tenth of a second off, and so is Denny Hamlin. That's some competitive pit stops on pit road right there.
David Rudiman was called in by NASCAR officials because the team requested it because they can't communicate with him, and it has really cost him. Look at the steering wheel off.
Yeah, they changed steering wheels probably because they had a mic button or some kind of wiring issue with it. Hard to do that under green, though, man.
And there you see Kyle Busch. We can tell you during the commercial break he did pit. So again, he is a lap down, shown in 28th position. So the caution he needed did not happen. If you're wondering, as we complete lap number 107, working lap 108, this is the longest green flag stretch to start an Atlanta race since March of 04, when the first 126 were green. And if you want to know the all-time mark, 309 back in March of 1990.
Wow. Man, a lot of green flag racing.
A lot of green flag racing. A lot of pressure on pit crews, too. Let's set it all for you because you got Tony Stewart up front by 0.6 of a second over Denny Hamlin. Third place is Carl Edwards. Martin Truex Jr. is fourth. Casey Kane fifth. And then Jimmy Johnson rounds out the 6th position. And Paul Menard is now running in the 7th spot and doing a very nice job tonight.
I don't know what it is about this track, but it really does suit Paul Menard's style. He's had some great finishes here, and looks like he's going for one tonight.
He got his first Cup Top 10 finish here back in March of 06. He finished 7th. And, of course, he finished 5th back here in March earlier this year.
Yeah, and all the Richard Petty Motorsports cars are running pretty well tonight. Elliott Sadler's 22nd. He's right now the last car on the lead lap. But Paul Menard having a fantastic run so far.
You got a good look there at Kurt Busch just all over the place coming off the corner.
Yeah, he's a lap down in 24th position. The problems continue. Let's go back up front because you've got Casey Kane and Jimmy Johnson. This is our closest battle on the track, especially in the top 5. These guys going after each other. Kane has earned more points this year on the 1.5-mile tracks than any other driver. And right now, he would be shown in 13th place in the points. And let's check in with the race lead right now with Tony Stewart leading by 0.5 second, Dave Burns.
And Marty, you know how much technology is involved these days in NASCAR racing? Well, what about going old school? Watch this last pit stop that Tony Stewart's crew did. The guy in the foreground, that's his dad Nelson waving a flashlight. Right here, son. Pit right here. And you want to hear what Tony had to say about it? Listen.
The lights on the lights you guys were holding on the pit box worked really good there. I can see those. Don't worry about putting them on the sign. Just put them right in my eyes. Okay, 10-4.
How about that? Putting the old man to work with just a flashlight, and Tony really appreciated it.
You going to get a paycheck?
I'm sure they learned that. Probably some dirt track around the country where you can't really see. They learned that trick. Worked pretty good tonight.
Dave Blaney in the 38 is lap traffic. You see Elliott Sadler also out there, and got a gaggle of cars right in front of the race leader. David Reagan gets loose there, and here we go again with Kane and Jimmy Johnson side by side. 3 wide as they go past Kevin Conway. Conway's in 42nd place, 40 laps behind. J.J. Yaley's pulled back behind the wall, so has Joe Nemechek. They're the only 2 off the track. May have an issue in the 20 car of Joey Logano. He's in 27th spot right now, a lap down.
Yeah, I just heard him go by the front straightaway, definitely on 7 cylinders. Something's going wrong there.
So not a good night for Logano. You can see what it looks like from on board. Jeff Gordon on the high side of Clint Boyer. That is for 12th position on the track.
Yeah, looks like Jeff, they're making some progress with his race car here. It looks like they've made it a little bit better with these pit stops. I'm sure they would love to have a caution, be able to make maybe a bigger adjustment, not lose any time. But in 13.3 seconds, you don't have much time
Not
to do.
much, no.
Jeff stays on the highlight. There you see Ryan Newman also in this mix. He's 14th. Remember, he has got to get himself in the top 3 to have any kind of real mathematical shot going into Richmond to still be in the mix for that 12th and final spot as we head for the chase. We mentioned Paul Menard. There he is, closing down on Casey Kane. And these guys are 5 seconds behind race leader Tony Stewart.
Paul's trying to see if he can get that 98 car in front of Casey Kane, be the top Richard Petty Motorsports car here tonight. Just a nice solid run. You see coming into the picture right back there is our points leader, Kevin Harvick. He's worked his way up into the 8th spot now.
Yep, he's picked up 21 spots. He's been the biggest mover from the start of the race. All right, let's get an update on the 00 story on David Ruderman, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, they black flagged David because he could not hear his spotter. NASCAR says you got to have communications. He came in. Here's what happened. Here's David Ruderman's helmet and the radio connection. It normally would go to a cable running across the cockpit here. That's how it would be connected. But because David was flailing his arms inside the car driving the wheel, his arm caught the cable and it came loose. He didn't know he couldn't hear him. He was turning the car so violently in the corner, he actually snapped the radio, unhooked from the attachment. They had to bring him on the pit road and hook it back up. How about that, guys?
Great description, Doc. And now David Ruderman can finally hear what's going on. And Beek will do the best he can. He's 2 laps down, though, in 35th position. Our race leader, Tony Stewart, by 1 second over Denny Hamlin. And remember, Tony has yet to win this year. There's our top 5, our Sprint Cup race, presented by Pennzoil. And here's the flashlight saying, Tony, here it is. And Dad says, hey, I did my job right.
Beautiful night for flying in the Goodyear blimp over the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Go to Goodyear.com and show your thanks and help support our troops. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Giving us our look down on one of NASCAR's fastest tracks past the 1/3 point of tonight's race. Interesting to look down through the standings and see how many guys at the top of this field tonight who have yet to win in 2010 and could really use one. These are just the guys that are right now in top 12 positions in the points, Brad, that haven't won yet this year.
Absolutely. And the first guy, Clint Boyer, we know he needs a win in order to solidify that 12th position. But go all the way to the bottom to Tony Stewart, the guy leading this race, currently 3rd in the points. He needs those bonus points as they get into the chase after next week to give himself a better chance at winning a 3rd Cup championship. He's running awful strong, Alan.
Bonus points, heck, he needs a trophy. That's what he needs tonight. Rusty, this race has been caution-free so far through 1/3 of the distance. Put us inside the race car, those of us that have never been there. A fast racetrack like this where you're searching for grip and you're working behind the wheel and no cautions. What's it like?
It's tough on you. It really is. We just saw Tony Stewart go by getting all real loose there. And Denny Hamlin, he's been working hard. But this racetrack right now is bumpy. Man, look at those arms back and forth. These guys are really struggling with these cars. You got to remember, it's fast here at Atlanta. It's very, very bumpy. The cars are not driving just perfect. They're either pushing the front end or else they're loose. And you just got to adjust to it. I mean, you don't have the grip that you have at some other racetracks. But look at all that movement that Denny Hamlin's doing back and forth, and that's just what you got to do. It's not easy out there.
Harvick passed Truex to pick up the 5th position as the championship leader continues picking his way toward the front. So 200 laps to go. Yeah, we're 1/3 of the distance in, but still plenty of time yet to go, and guys are working awfully hard out there, Marty, DJ, and Andy.
And all 43 cars, Alan, are back out on track. Bliss, McDowell, Yaley, Conway, Nemechek, they've all been behind the wall as we got a battle for the race lead again between the 11 of Hamlin and the 14 of Stewart.
Yeah, I was just noticing how Tony had pulled back away after he got clear of some traffic. I said, well, his car settled in pretty good, and here comes Denny.
It's that same thing we've been seeing with Denny's car.
Yeah, and we just saw the in-car camera, Denny Hamlin working the steering wheel, and he's leading the race. What are these other guys doing?
Really? I'm telling you, it's tough out there.
Well, you can see Joey Logano as he reported engine problems. Let's listen in on Joey's radio.
Into the straightaway, into the back straightaway. It cuts off and turns back on. Like it's electrical or something.
Master switch on the batteries there. Try switching that.
Yeah, that didn't do nothing.
The master switch that's on the dash for the alternator, turn that off and just keep an eye on the volts for a lap or two and see if they start going down. I know you got a lot going on and you're doing the best you can, but we need to try to maintain minimum speed. We're good now. We just don't want to get any slower.
Yeah, you see what's going on right there on the straightaway. He's able to keep pace through the corners pretty well, but then he hits the straightaway, and it sounds to me like it's internal. It doesn't sound to me like it's electricals, and that's kind of bad news for the Logano team. But Tim Brewer, he can explain it just a little bit more in our Craftsman Tech Garage.
Andy, I'm with you. I think it's something with the engine, but a lot of the guys have issues because they try to run a 160 amp alternator, but they need a wire this size to replenish the charging system. A lot of the guys are very conscientious about weight, so they run this real small wire back there, and sometimes that small wire, when it's 220 degrees under the hood, you don't get enough amps back to the battery. But me, I'm like you, brother. I think it's right here. I think it's a valve.
Yeah, I do too, Tim. And, you know, they're hoping it's that electrical problem, but because that's something that you could actually fix. That internal issue, though, it's they're not going to be able to fix that.
Joey running right now 30th position, 2 laps down. And bad news for Mark Martin fans. He is about to go a lap down. He is in 17th position, doing all he can, but it doesn't seem to be enough, as here comes race leader Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart close behind.